One of the most inexplicable college football stories this season. I'm going to tell you who it is and why this college has decided to walk away from postseason football. Also, two of the perennial top 10 teams in college hoops are 3-5 right now, just 2 weeks into the season with losing records. I'm going to tell you who it is, and more importantly, one of these coaches is a highly respected veteran of over 20 years, and he's already starting the rumor mill about possibly not playing the whole season due to COVID-19. I'll tell you who it is. Lastly, UFC is set to cancel and desubscribe 60 of their fighters, releasing them from their contracts as of January. What does this mean for the UFC brand? Chris and I will get into that. It's Chris, Zach, me, you here in the first round. Let's get it started.
You're tuned into the hottest sports analysis of the week with your hosts Ron Dolbeck and Chris Roberts. And now, here's the first round.
It's a Thursday night here on YouTube talking about everything going on in the world of sports. Congratulations, you found the show that helps you be smarter than your friends when it comes to sports. We're going to be talking about everything going on in the world of sports tonight. On my left, joining me as he always does and has for over the past year, it's Chris Roberts. Let's get into the top stories right now going on in the world of sports. It's got to start in one place, and Zach's not going to like it because he's a Steeler fan, but we start in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers take an 11-0 record into Heinz Field, only to go down somehow to an NFC East team, the Washington football team, playing on the road in the worst conference, in the worst division, one of the worst teams, going up against the undefeated, mighty, untouchable, immovable object of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lose at home. Pittsburgh goes down 23-17 to the team from Washington. Pitt closes out the season with the Bills, Bengals, Colts, and Cleveland. They are fighting for that number one spot in the AFC. We will get into that. I'm sure Zach's going to have some opinions. Also in the NFL, former Dallas quarterback Troy Aikman venting his criticism with his former team after a 33-17 blowout loss at Baltimore. Dallas gave up 294 yards rushing, and Aikman is starting to question whether the team has quit on first-year head coach Mike McCarthy in year one. Dallas is 3-9. It doesn't look to get any better with their schedule to close out the season. I think there's tons of problems there. Chris and I will get into that. Big games this weekend in the NFL. It starts tonight. My New England Patriots, six-time Super Bowl champions, go on the road again to LA. This time they're taking on the Rams. I think that's going to be a tough game. Other big games to watch in the NFL this weekend. Indianapolis goes on the road to Vegas. This is another must-win game for both these teams if they've got playoff hopes. Kansas City, how about them going on the road at 11-1, fighting for the number one spot in the AFC to upstart in the AFC East? The Miami Dolphins, who at the beginning of the season would think this was going to be a big game this deep into the season? I did. I thought they were going to turn around. Miami's looking really good. That's a big game to watch for this weekend. Zach and Pittsburgh look to bounce back this weekend after that home loss to Washington. The only problem is they've got to go on the road and take on AFC leading Buffalo Bills at Buffalo. Buffalo is 9-3. That is going to be a super monster game. Monday night, it gets even better. Baltimore goes on the road to play the no longer Cleveland Kardashians, coming off a monster win against Tennessee. I love what Cleveland is doing. They're 9-3. I told you at the beginning of the season they were going to be better. They're making me look good. College football. Boston College says it is done for the season. No postseason, no bowl games. The real signature wins on the season, I can't find any. They finish up 6-5. I think that their head coach, Jeff Hafley, has really turned it around. But he says they just ran out of gas mentally and physically. They've played 11 games in a row. They're tired. They're going to take a flyer as far as going into the bowl games. Canceled games this weekend. Ohio State, Michigan, gone. Texas A&M and Ole Miss, canceled, maybe to be rescheduled. One that I was really looking forward to, number 8 Cincinnati going on the road to play at number 24 Tulsa. That one's been canceled. And lastly, number 11 Oklahoma going on the road to West Virginia in a Big 12 showdown. I still can't get my head around the fact that West Virginia is in the Big 12, but that game's not going to happen. We've got all the big games and predictions in college football news for you. Also, this week, one of the biggest weeks in college football, Army-Navy happens this Saturday, 3:30. It's on CBS. It's one of my favorite games. First time that these two are going to play actually at West Point since 1943. I love Army big in this game, and I'll tell you why. Other big games that you can catch in college football this weekend. How about Georgia, number 9, going on the road to 25 Mizzou? If you can explain to me how Mizzou is ranked in the top 25, I'll give you $100. It's got to make sense, though. Number 17, UNC, goes on the road. They're taking on number 10, Miami. That's a monster big showdown that I'm really looking forward to. Wisconsin, falling out of the top 25. They go on the road to Kinnick Stadium. They're going to take on the Hawkeyes. They're ranked number 16. Other big games, rivalry weekend. USC goes on the road, if you can call it that, in L.A. to take on UCLA. LSU, in their makeup game, they're going to go down to the Swamp, play here in Gainesville against number 6 Florida. How about BYU is going to try to bounce back after their monster loss on the road at Coastal Carolina? They get a home win this weekend, I think, against San Diego State. And that is almost everything going on in the world of sports. NBA, Paul George adds 4 years to his contract and $190 million. The guy is 30 years old. I don't know if this is a great move for the Clippers, but I know that Chris will have an opinion on it. James Harden on his way out in Houston. Possible on his wish list for Christmas of teams that he wants to land with are the Nets, 76ers, Heat, and the Bucks. Those are the teams at the top of his list. Chris will have an opinion on where he thinks James Harden is going to land. College hoops, the season is so young, but Kentucky and Duke combined are 3-5. Who ever thought that that would be the case? Here's the surprising part. The wins that these two teams have gotten are over some college named Bellarmine, who I've never even heard of, Coppin State, and Morehead State. Those are the only 3 wins out of 8 games that Duke and University of Kentucky have amassed. Something's going on there. I don't know what it is. Hopefully Chris can straighten me out. Also in ACC news, Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, comes out and says it might be time to pull the plug on the NCAA season just 2 weeks into it. COVID is canceling a lot of games. He's concerned about the physical aspect, the mental aspect of his players and their staff. We'll talk about that. And lastly, in boxing news, it could only happen in 2020 where Floyd Mayweather comes out of retirement again. This time, he's at 43 years old, going to step in the ring on February 20th of 2021 to fight YouTube sensation Logan Paul. And that is everything going on in the world of sports. Chris, I'm out of breath.
That's a lot of stuff, man. Let's get this show started, man. Let's get on it.
Yeah, we're going to get on it. And before we start talking about sports, I put a lot of stuff out there, a lot of topics on the table. It's getting close to the holidays. Last year, we had our set really done up. You can go and check us out in our archive videos of over 80 shows that we've got on YouTube. If you miss any part of this show, you can go check it out right there in our front page. But last year, we went all out.
Yeah,
the little elves came in for like 3 or 4 weeks. The set looked really good.
Right.
This year, everything's in storage because we have a new studio being built, which is about 3 weeks away. But I'm wondering, have you started shopping? Where are you at with the shopping progress?
I'm just about finished. I just need to get my niece and my daughter. I got to get a few more items for my daughter.
Oh, a few more. Now, I'm not even going to get into this because you and I see things just a little differently on that. I'm usually like the one big gift and then maybe like a small stocking stuffer type of guy. But Kim loves her daddy, doesn't she?
She does.
I know.
Yes,
sometimes we'll talk about the budgets for birthdays.
Yes.
So, Tuesday was my 49th birthday.
Right.
So we had 2 different birthday dinners on 2 different nights.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm even bringing this up is I had the most bizarre bipolar interactions at these 2 dinners. So I'm going to talk about going to, there's like a Benihana style place here in town.
Right.
Then when we went to that one, and we happened to be at the table, and somebody else had a birthday. It was a 13-year-old kid, really awesome. His name's Connor. Told him I was going to give him a shout out. Happy birthday to you, buddy. I hope 2021 is 10 times better than this year, and you have great blessings ahead of you. This kid was so polite, so well-mannered, knew his sports. The only downfall is he likes all the LA teams. I mean, I was starting to question the parenting, but he had two sisters there who were like model children. I mean, these parents need to get an award. We don't reward good parents enough. And Connor, your parents need to get a reward. You need to talk to your sisters about getting them some good gifts because these kids were so well-mannered, it blew me away. Okay. It was so awesome. So, Connor, happy 13th. Promise made, promise kept. Now, the next day, last night, we went to Texas Roadhouse or Longhorn, one of these places for steak. Right. And different crowd. Oh, my gosh. Someone let a 2-year-old into this place who just happened to be in the booth next to me. He hadn't gotten his pills that day. Let's start there. And he probably hadn't eaten all day. Right. Because I'd say half of the dinner was screaming, food being thrown, inexplicable behavior. And this is what gets me, is the parents that have the children that act like this and do nothing. I know you've had to have seen this.
Okay, so was this the place where they had the peanuts and the kid was throwing the peanuts at you?
I don't know if it was peanuts and it wasn't getting thrown at me because I would have snatched the breath right out of his lungs. I mean, I don't tolerate that stuff myself. Right. But they had a horse there, you know, like you could sit on, not a real horse, but like a fake one. It's like a cowboy place. And They put the kid up there. Every time they took a picture, he's screaming at the top of his lungs. Right. If I could figure out what pills he was on, I would give him something to counterman that, but I don't know. It was, let's get to sports. I know you've had these experiences, so I'm not the only one, right?
Yes, I have. I mean, as a matter of fact, I had them with my daughter when she was younger, and then, you know, what it boils down to, we went to the Nike store, and I let her out of the buggy. And so she just runs around the store laughing and jumping and just pulling stuff off the racks. Do you
walk away like, that's not my kid?
No, I'm the dad that's sitting around here trying to chase this little child running through the store.
Cleaning up the mess.
Yes. That was me.
Let's get into the NFL, do some rapid fire. Right now, we're getting down to the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season here. Time to start honing in on NFL MVPs. I thought it'd be a good thing to tackle. We got some emails about it this weekend, who we thought were our top 4 or 5. I'm going to give you some names. You bounce off where you think that they're at. These are in no particular order, but I'll give you my 1, 2, and 3. In no order, though, right now, Josh Allen. I think he's having a great season. Over 3,400 yards, 70% passing from the pocket, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I love that ratio. He's got the Bills in first place in the East for the first time since I was a fetus, and that was, unfortunately, 49 years ago. And they're in third place overall in the AFC playoff picture. I think he's done a great job. The maturity is there. It's like this last year has kicked in. I think he's got to be on the outer periphery of MVP talk.
Yeah, I would see Josh Allen being in that conversation. When you're looking at Josh Allen, you're looking at what he was able to do this year. It shows that, you know, once he got that threat with Stephon Diggs on the outside to actually pass the ball to somebody that can actually be that deep threat. It shows that, you know, he's able to get that ball out there. Not only that, but he's also a dual threat guy. So, you know, the fact that he was able to actually mature from last year where he was actually dependent more on running and to actually, you know, he can actually throw the ball, I show that he has matured and I can put him in that MVP race.
Yeah. On the outside, looking in, what I really love is not panicking when the pocket breaks down and throwing stupid interceptions or turnovers. Right. Remember the playoff game last year in Houston, he pretty much cost him there at the end of the game. It wasn't looking good. I think he's turned it around. My second guy on my list was an obvious pick at the beginning of the season and has started to fade just a little bit because they're not winning, and it's Russell Wilson. Almost 3,500 yards, 70% again from the pocket, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. He was a lot hotter at the beginning of the season. I think just because if he wasn't there, I don't think Seattle would even be in the playoff picture at this point. I've got him on a little bit closer to the MVP race, not on the outside, but he's right there.
I actually have Russell Wilson sitting outside the MVP race. Just
What?
Just listen to this stat. Since week 7, Russell Wilson has had 12 turnovers since week 7.
That is not good.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at that, you're looking at the interceptions, you're looking at the fumbles. I have him sitting outside. I actually have Josh Allen more closer to the MVP race to being the MVP than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he's not in the kernel, but he's up there. Like I said, without him, Seattle's not even sniffing the playoffs. The obvious pick for MVP right now, I think, in the consensus around people that follow the NFL, has got to be Patrick Mahomes. 3,800 yards, 68% completion rating, 31 touchdowns, 2 tiny interceptions. 2 on the whole season. That's amazing. Leads the NFL in QBR rating at 85. He's the obvious pick. But who I've got at number 2, I don't think a lot of people are really up to date on this number 2 guy, at least what his stats are. Mm-hmm. And let me give them to you. It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is in that conversation with anybody that knows anything about the NFL. But let me just tell you his stats. 3,400 yards passing. Very close to Mahomes. 69% as opposed to 68 passing from the pocket. 36 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. QBR rating is within 0.4 points of 85, which is where Patrick Mahomes is. So he's less than half a point off the QBR rating, and he's number 2 in the NFL in overall QBR. This is what gets me, though, about him being number 2, because he could be at number 1, and I'm going to tell you why. Look at how much talent is around Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. It is like a blizzard. Every direction you look, at running back, wide receivers especially, tight end, everything. The offensive line is good. His defense is far more solid than it was his rookie year. He has talent everywhere. Who is Aaron Rodgers throwing to? I asked myself that when I was doing the prep for the show. His number 1 receiver is Davante Adams. He has 84 receptions on the season. Okay, so that's great. That's an MVP-type receiver for an MVP-type quarterback. But who's number 2 on the team?
Let's see. I would think, I can't say Lazard because Lazard just came back from injury.
Nope.
Possibly Aaron Jones.
Nope. It's not even Aaron Jones. Number 2 is tight end Robert Tonyan.
Yeah.
Now listen to this. He has less than half of the receptions. He only has 41. No other wide receivers on that roster right now, Equanimeous Brown, any of them, have more than 25 receptions. Now just think about that. That's why right now, if I had to give a most valuable player, you got a guy that's got number for number with Patrick Mahomes. And literally, like, if you take Davante Adams out of there with his 84 receptions, he has nothing. Yeah. Nothing around him compared to Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is the easy pick, but when you really dive into the numbers and see what people are working with, my number 1 vote has to go to Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah, and I agree with you that, Aaron Rodgers is the MVP candidate. What I like about Aaron Rodgers.
But you got him at number 1.
Do I have him at number 1? I had him at number 1A. I mean, he and Patrick Mahomes are running neck and neck. And, when you look at Aaron Rodgers, though, I mean, you look at that NFC North. I mean, you see, like, the up and down teams like Chicago. You don't know what you're going to get out of Chicago.
Right.
You look at
Detroit. But who's dominant in the AFC West? The Bolts are terrible. Las Vegas is bipolar.
Right.
Denver is terrible. So comparatively,
right.
Both those divisions aren't any good.
Right.
My argument is that Patrick Mahomes has a lot more talent around him, and he's putting up the same numbers as Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, he does. I mean, and really to me, Pat Mahomes is that system type of quarterback where he has to have that Andy Reid type of offense to actually run that fun and gun type of offense. Mm-hmm. You can put Aaron Rodgers in another offense and he could just go. I mean, he's just that talented. And so, I mean, with Pat Mahomes, like I said, he's a system guy. But I think Aaron Rodgers is the MVP this season.
I think Aaron Rodgers has got to be the MVP. It's nothing against Patrick Mahomes. He just has more talent around him. He is going to need that talent because we're going to talk right now about the AFC Championship race. Who's fighting for that number 1? Right now it's between Zach's Pittsburgh Terrible Towels-toting Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Coming up for Kansas City, they've got at Miami. That's not a rollover game. Then they got to go on the road next week to New Orleans. That's going to be a tough game. One of the best teams in the NFC, like I predicted at the beginning of the season. Also, they've got Atlanta. Atlanta's not a joke. They're not a playoff team, but they've still got an offense that can crank, and they're playing for pride. And then they finish up with a free spot on the bingo board the last week of the season. Kansas City gets the Bolts coming to Arrowhead. I think that's going to be a win. That, to me, is a little bit more of an easy schedule than what the Steelers have coming up. The Steelers have, let's see, they've got the Bengals. They've got the Colts, who are playing for their lives right now. They finish up the season with Cleveland on the road. And who else do they have? The Ravens? No, they beat the Ravens twice.
So we have the Bengals, the Browns, the Colts, and
who am I missing? Bills. And the Bills. So, yeah, this weekend they go on the road to Orchard Park. Got to take on the Bills, number one in the AFC East right now at 9-3. Out of those two, if you had to pick a team right now to finish number one, get that number one slot, who are you going with?
I'm going with Kansas City simply because Pittsburgh has so many injuries on the defense.
Yeah.
And
Zach and I were talking about that before the show.
Right, and I think that's what's going to come into play is A, they can't run the ball, and their defense is taking injuries left and right.
We're not peaking at the right time. Our team is getting hurt at the wrong time of year.
Yeah. But it's amazing what the Steelers have done. I actually picked, we were talking about this a couple months ago, I thought Cleveland was going to have a better record than Pittsburgh. And what Mike Tomlin's done with, basically Ben Roethlisberger has his AARP card falling out of his wallet every single week. Juju Smith is the only guy on the outside. I thought the defense was going to be solid with Bush, Watt, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, basically, you got Minkah Fitzpatrick for a bag of chips, and he's been solid. But injuries are starting to hit. And the reality of the NFL is that we're past week 10 now, and this is crunch time. I like KC because KC is playing with all cylinders right now. They're hitting on all cylinders. Their offense is cranking. Middle of the year, they were playing up to the level of their competition. Right now, they're turning on the gas. I like them to finish number one. Let's get into – go ahead, Zach.
I just want to say one thing, though. KC, if you look at their games in the division, they actually have a tough time with all the teams. The Chargers played them tough the first time. The Denver just played them tough.
Right, they did.
And, they've had tough games. And the Raiders played them both tough both times as well.
Yeah, they actually beat them. That's their loss on the year. They beat them at Arrowhead.
I mean, definitely. I mean, the Steelers had our hiccups. But, I mean, you got to look at the Chiefs, too. They've hadn't steamrolled these opponents that you would think they should.
Yeah. You've got Pittsburgh, I guess, come –
I hope. I mean, we need the buy.
Yeah, but let's
need the buy.
If we take emotion out of it.
If you take emotion out of it.
Who do you got winning the AFC number one?
I think the Chiefs are going to lose to the Saints, and I think they could also possibly lose this upcoming week to the Dolphins.
Yeah, on the road at Miami is not a joke game, and who thought we'd be saying that at the beginning of the season?
And I think the fact that we lost our one game right now to Washington, which is the NFC team, will give us that slight edge on the tiebreaker.
Well, you guys got Cleveland on the road, which isn't a joke. No. Then you got Buffalo this week. That's the main thing you got to get past. And you got the Colts. Colts are playing tough, and they're playing for a playoff position.
It's going to be a crazy stretch.
So, going from teams that are trying to get that number one spot, let's talk about some of the teams and the coaches right now that are on the hot seat in the NFL. It's got to start in one place for me. I would say Mike McCarthy, but he's only in his first year. And that's just a carnival of insanity that no amount of anything less than God coming down and touching that team with his finger isn't going to fix. I'm going to start in the NFC East, though, and I'm going to start with a team 3 short years ago. We're in the Super Bowl. Doug Peterson, I think, is on the ultimate hot seat in Philly. Am I out of my mind, Chris?
No, you're not out of your mind. Actually, I'm looking at Doug Peterson kind of scratching my head trying to figure out what happened to your offense from, like 3 years ago. I mean, you're looking at it right now. You're talking about replacing Carson Wentz with Jalen Hurts already.
Right. And this is 4 years, $128 million contract. That's blowing up in Philly's face right now. Here's the thing. They're 3-8 right now, minus 54 in point differential. That's massive. They can't get their offense going. Something's wrong with Carson Wentz. I don't know what it is. In 2017, the year they went to the Super Bowl, they were 13-3. A year later, they went to 9-7. Last year, they were 9-7. This year, they're 3-8. They've lost 4 games in a row. They have no hope of making it to the playoffs. 4 years, they've been trending in the wrong direction. Is it time for him to go, or does Jeffrey Lurie hold on to him for another year? With what? I mean, where are we going with running back? Is Deshaun Jackson coming back, and is he going to be 100% at wide receiver? What are you doing at quarterback with Carson Wentz? You paid him all this money, and then this is an experiment to ride out the rest of the season with Jalen Hurts? I mean, I don't know what you're doing on offense.
I don't either. As I look at that Eagles offense, I mean, just watching them the other night when they were playing the Eagles, how they just struggled to get the ball down the field. I mean, just to even cross the half field, just cross over the 50-yard line. I mean, they struggled.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at their running backs. I mean, you know, their running backs are basically non-existent. I mean, their wide receivers, I mean, non-existent, really. I mean, and then
Carson
on top of
Wentz
that,
is
when
so-
Carson Wentz throws the ball, they
Right.
actually have a lot of drops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it time for him to go, or do you give him another year?
Doug Peterson, I think it's about time for him to go. I mean, if he can't prove that he can at least give you like 1 or 2 more wins to show that he actually has the team under control, it's about time for him to go.
And you're playing in the worst division in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's no way right now they should be 3-8, but they are. Talking about other coaches in the NFL that are on the hot seat, I've got to go to my team growing up, was one of my favorites, and now they've moved to LA. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Bolts and Anthony Lynn, 3-9 on the season, 0-3 in their division, 3-6 losing record against conference opponents, and he has 0 wins in his 4th year with the Bolts. No playoff wins at all. No hope of making the playoffs this year. How much longer are we going to keep putting gas into this car, man?
I actually thought he should have been let go after that 45 to zip drubbing by New England.
Can't happen. I'm a New England fan. I would want them to win.
Right.
But as decimated as they are, you can't lose at home to a completely wiped out New England Patriot team, 45-0. You know what that shows me? No heart.
Yeah, that was to me, that was the sign of the end right there. It's time to go a different direction.
And the most obvious choice for NFL coach that absolutely had to go, like at the beginning of the season, is the head coach of the New York Jets, Adam Gase. 2019, he goes 7-9. This year, 0-12, no wins. 3 years in Miami previous to this, he was 23-25. Everything that you could possibly do wrong, they've done wrong. It's on him. I don't want to hear about any other things about Sam Darnold and we're playing for Trevor Lawrence. You should be playing for pride. You're at the highest level of competition when it comes to football. Every single week, the only goal you have is to win the game. Last week, they had a victory, and they snatched it out of their own hands with 5 seconds left to go. As the Raiders went down to they got to midfield with 7 seconds left to go. Adam Gase calls an all-out blitz, leaving one-on-one coverage with Henry Ruggs on the outside, burns the corner by at least 3 or 4 yards, scores a touchdown with only 2 seconds left to go in the game. The Jets find another way to lose. This guy has got to go.
I'm shocked that this guy was able to find a job after Miami.
As a head coach.
As a head coach, period. And then to have Mr. Johnson, from as the owner, to have that much confidence in him to come back, it's time for this guy to leave.
It is time for him to go. Big games this weekend. We talked about the Patriots going on the road for the second week in L.A. They'll take on the Rams. They're getting 4.5 points. Chris, give me a breakdown. Come on.
I'm going to go with the Rams with this one, man. I just love how the Rams defense is coming together,
But
man.
it's so hard to go against Belichick in December, right?
Man,
They're not this year.
I'm going with the Rams, man.
Rams are laying 4.5. Patriots have won 4 out of the last 5, and they're on the outside talk of a playoff. I hope they don't. I've been cheering against my team. I wanted to go Team Trevor. I wanted to lose to the Jets twice. It's not happening. And every week we win, we're staying out of the playoffs, and we're getting a worse draft pick every single week. So I am saying go Rams. This is 2 years ago, revenge. Take out all your anger and revenge on my Patriots. And I hope they lose by 1. That's what I want to have happen. I want the Patriots to lose by 1 right now. Rams tied for first in the West with Seattle at 8-4. They have everything to play for. They're playing at home. Please come through. They're third in the NFC right now in the playoff picture. 2 games out of being in 8th place.
Yeah.
So they have everything to fight for. I know Belichick wants them to fight, but I don't want them to fight. I say just let this thing go. Big game we talked about a little earlier in the show. KC goes on the road to Miami. KC has got everything to play for. They have got an 11-1 record. They want that first week bye. Miami's getting 7 points. They're one game back at 8-4. Who thought we would have said that in the AFC East? They're one game back in second place from Buffalo. I don't know what I want to do with this game, Chris. Casey, I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to play a money line bet on this. I've been doing good in the NFL. College football, I've been stinking it up the last 2 weeks. This is revenge week for me on my college picks. Trust me, I'm getting revenge. NFL, I take a money line bet on this one, and that's it.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game simply because Miami, they have issues running the ball now. They have to establish a running game. I think if they're able to establish a running game, they can actually control the clock and actually pull out a win against Kansas City.
I think they could, but do you think that they will? There's a big difference.
Well, I think this game is gonna be close simply because Miami's defense is pretty tough. But I think Kansas City pulls it out at least by a field goal.
I think it's going to be close too. This might be a good one to tease up. Take Miami plus the 13. But then, there's an outside chance you could see KC blowing them out. I don't know because Brian Flores has them playing the right way. Just think about where Miami was at the end of the season last year and at the beginning of the season last year and where they're at now. He has made like light years difference. They are light years ahead of where they were at the beginning of last season. Zach's team, Pittsburgh, needs to get back on the horse. 11-1, they go on the road to Buffalo. Buffalo's 9-3. Both these teams have something to play for. The Buffalo doesn't want to lose any ground in the AFC East.
Right.
They're one game up right now on Miami. They're 9-3. Pittsburgh's playing for that number one spot in the AFC. Still, I'm taking Pittsburgh on this one. I'm teasing it up. Buffalo's laying 2.5. I'm going to get that 8.5 points with Pittsburgh on the road. They need to bounce back. We're going to see kind of what they're made of because this is the first time their back's been against the wall after losing to Washington.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bills with this one. I like Josh Allen. I like the fact you have Stephon Diggs. I like that defense, and when it comes down to Pittsburgh, they can't run the ball, so it puts the pressure on Ben Roethlisberger. And as you seen last week, when they were playing the other night, they actually had a lot of drops. So I want to see if they can come back, if Claypool could come back, if Juju Smith-Schuster can come back and make some of those plays, if Ebron can make some of those plays. If not, I'm going with the Bills.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you, Zach. Honest opinion, when you take emotion out of it, how do you call this game?
It's going to be a very close game. I definitely think Mike Tomlin gave a good speech to the guys. They'll play motivated. They'll be a close win for the Steelers.
He's calling it close. I think there's a little bit of his heart talking. But you know what? If I get the Steelers playing the way they are right now with a veteran quarterback and you're giving me 8.5 points, that's hard to walk away from. Let's go to another must-win game for both these teams. Number 7 in the playoff picture in the AFC, Indianapolis Colts, playing better of late. They got blown out 2 weeks ago, but overall, the momentum is going in the upward direction. They're 8-4. They go on the road to a completely bipolar Las Vegas Raiders team right now, 7-5. They have the last spot in the playoff. I don't know what they're playing for. I think that Chucky has had 2 years now to get this turned around. They look better than they did when he took over, John Gruden. But they should be ahead of where they're at right now, especially with, I think it's unused talent. That's what I think is happening there. Unused talent and some of the play calling. It's inexplicable quarterback play from Derek Carr. That's what's bringing them down right now. Colts are given 3 in this game. I love the Colts to win this outright.
This game is tough because I love what Las Vegas is able to do with Brandon Jacobs. I love what they do with Waller, the tight end, and with Henry Ruggs being there as well. So I actually think that Las Vegas can actually pull this off simply because you don't know what you're getting out of Indianapolis either. I mean, you never know. I mean,
they get blown out 2 weeks ago, and then they look good this last weekend.
Exactly. So you don't know what you're going to get. But I think I'm going to go with Las Vegas. I think Derek Carr has some momentum coming into this week.
$5? $5. Okay, $5. You got the Raiders straight up with me, or you want the 3 points?
Take it straight up.
Straight up. Okay, I talked him out of the 3 points. Big Monday night game. Huge implications in the division and in playoff seeding. Baltimore coming off if you could call it a huge win at home on a primetime game against Dallas, but they've been playing really well. Their only losses, Baltimore on the season, they've lost to Pittsburgh twice, KC, Tennessee, and New England. There's nothing to shake a stick at there. The only teams they've lost to have been really difficult, hard-fought games, and the teams that are all making the playoffs, except New England, who has an outside shot. They're going on the road to play the Cleveland Kardashians at 9-3. Talk about showing up last week against Tennessee. Cleveland absolutely got it done. We talked about it last week. This was a statement game, not only for Baker Mayfield and his maturity and how he would handle it if they did win, but for this team as a whole. This was a statement win. Their running game is on par. They're actually statistically and analytically way better when ODB is not playing on the field. This is going to be a huge, huge game. It's going to be super close. I don't even know what the hell the line is on this game. I think it's a pick'em, right? It's a pick'em game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to take Cleveland on no, I'm going to take Baltimore. I'm taking Baltimore on a pick'em, straight up.
Yeah, this game is going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be close. I love the way Nick Chubb is running the ball. Actually, just Cleveland in general, the way they're running the ball with him and Kareem Hunt. I love the way that duo was getting it off. And then on top of that, you have Jarvis Landry that started to actually turn it around. But it all depends on Lamar Jackson if they can get him to actually not turn the ball over. And other than that, I see Cleveland actually pulling this game out.
Cleveland. Okay,
Yeah.
I got Baltimore. So we want to thank our almost 2,600 subscribers out there. Thank you so much for supporting us. We try to put on a good show every single week. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscription button right now. Also, hit the bell, the notification button. YouTube will let you know every single time that we put out new content, which is usually on Thursdays. If you've missed any part of this show or other shows, it's real easy to check it out. Go to our YouTube page. Check out our archive video of over 80 videos right now. Most of them hopefully entertaining. And if you want to be a part of the show, you could do that too. Follow us on Twitter at The First Round, the number 1. Or you can email in like dozens of people do every single week. Be a part of the Super Chat also. You can reach us here with your questions and comments and email at thefirstraundrd@gmail.com. Getting back to college football, Boston College, after a 6-5 season, I think Jeff Heffley has turned around BC. They had a good season, but they didn't beat anybody of substance, I don't think. But I think he's got the culture of thinking. And when you come into a losing organization or somebody under Adazio where they just had years of the mundane, committed to mediocrity, you got to change the culture of thinking like Spurrier did when he came in here. Any good coach is going to do that. They say that they're not going to play, and I can respect the reasons why. They've played 11 games in a row, and he came out as the head coach this week and said, look, we're physically tired, we're mentally tired, and we don't want to go and fly across country to play in an empty stadium where the parents might not be able to come and check out the game. I think it's bad for the kids because playing in a bowl game, you get the gift bag, you get the experience. If you win, you get a ring. I think it's just another experience that they're missing out on. I don't blame BC for this. I blame COVID for this. But it is a sad commentary because they had a better season than what they thought they were going to have.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, this due to the pandemic this year that a lot of stuff is going the way that it's going. But, I don't blame the coach for it. And, matter of fact, I give him big ups for actually looking out for his kids.
Yeah, and we're seeing more and more of that, especially like we talked about Mike Krzyzewski in the college hoops. We'll talk about that in a second. Big college football weekend. There's a lot of games that aren't happening. I want to talk about the ones that are happening. One of Chris and I's favorites, Army-Navy, not at the link this year in Philadelphia. This is so crazy. The people in Philadelphia who own Lincoln Financial Field were concerned about, statesmen coming. They were concerned about all the cadets showing up and the midshipmen showing up, walking through their processions, which you and I love as a part of the tradition. So what do? They say, you know what, that's fine. We'll go play at West Point for the first time since 1943. I think this is going to be awesome. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy. And this is the kind of game that I like to see. I don't think there's going to be snow. It's not going to get cold enough, but that would be so awesome. And have you seen the uniforms that they've picked? They always have new uniforms for Army-Navy.
Right.
The new ones this year they're pretty sick. I really like them a lot. 3:30 game on CBS. Here's why I'm picking Army. The one reason I'm picking Army, besides the fact that they have a solid coaching staff, a good offense, they have the number 4 best defense overall in the country. When was the last time Army could say that? The 4th best defense. They're given 7 points. I'm teasing this one down on a parlay. I'm taking Army -1 point against Navy.
Hey, I going Army as well. But you know what though? I mean, I think that's something they should do every year anyway. I never understood why they never played it at West Point. I never understood.
Well, you know why they're even playing at West Point? The whole reason they chose West Point is it's a government facility.
Right.
So they could do whatever they want to there. They're not governed by, state laws and COVID and everything else.
Right.
I mean, I thought it was a great pick, but I wouldn't even mind seeing it switch or, I don't mind it at the Link. It's a neutral site, but there's not the tradition there. It's a newer stadium.
Right.
Philadelphia is not known as one of the big military cities like Norfolk or San Diego or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing a home and home thing between them or, at a neutral place that has something more to do with like one of the memorial stadiums
Yeah.
in the country or move it around.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Between West Point and Annapolis. I think that would actually be good for both of those programs. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too. Look for a big Army. Go Army, beat Navy. Other big game this weekend, Georgia, ranked in the top 15, goes on the road to Mizzou. Mizzou is getting 13 points. I'm taking the 13 points. Who you got?
I'm going with Georgia.
Georgia, and you're going to lay the 13?
Yeah.
Hey, Missouri isn't one of the better teams. I don't think I don't think they deserve to be in the top 25, but they've played everybody they've played tough, and they don't quit. If I'm getting 13 points and they're at home, I'm going to take the 13 points. The number one team in the country, it's got to be Alabama. They are taking on Arkansas. They're laying 32 points. This is way too much for me to touch. Arkansas can play like they did at the beginning of the season and stay in games that they shouldn't be in, like against Georgia at home, and have a tough defense. I don't believe in Felipe Franks, but can they keep it within 32?
No.
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 See, it's too easy to say they no.
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 I think Bama has showed that they were the best team on the field every time they played. I mean, their receivers are just better than yours. You got Devontae Smith,
I
who's
know.
just gonna go by any and everybody. I mean, you have Najee Harris, who can catch the ball out of the backfield and run you over.
I know. They have an offensive line that's all NFL Pro Bowl guys, and I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
32, I don't know. It's too much for me to touch. I'm staying away from that game. UNC having a great season, going on the road to play number 10 Miami. UNC is getting 3 points. I'm taking UNC in a close game. I believe in Derek
King.
Yeah, Derek King. I think Manny has got the U turned around. I got my U helmet up here for my friend Boston Steve. He's a big U fan, unless they're losing. And then I don't hear from him for a week. But I'm taking UNC plus the 3 points. This might be one of my teaser packages. If I get 9 points in a very close game, this is for their side of the conference. I'm liking UNC right now and Sam Howell.
I'm going to go with Miami because Miami defense their defense has played a little bit better than Carolina. Carolina has shown me this year that you can go up and down the field on their defense. I mean, I'm going Miami. I like
But
what
Chris, I'm motivated this week. I went three out of 10 against the spread in college last week. I have motivated you, and we're in that with our contest with Dustin. It's a little too close now. I've been leading most of the season. I had a pretty good substantial lead. I was looking to shut the door last weekend, and I just laid an egg. This is Bounce Back Redemption Saturday in college football. Boise State goes on the road to Wyoming. Wyoming getting 12 points. Another one that I'm really thinking about teasing up, getting 18. Boise State hasn't showed me anything this year. They got blown out at home by BYU, who I think is a top 20 team, but not a top 10 team. I'm taking Wyoming with their good offense, and I'm going to take the teaser on this. I'm going to take I'm going to take 18 points and Wyoming at home.
I generally don't go against the Blue Smurfs in Boise, but I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Yeah, but this is a road game.
Yeah, I'm gonna
They
take
got to
the
go
Cowboys.
down to Wyoming and play.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys.
All right, we're on the same page there. How about in-state, in-city, in-conference rivalry that used to mean something? I don't know what it means this year. USC fighting Clay Hatenators, giving 2 points against a somewhat resurgent UCLA Chip Kelly-led Bruins squad. I'm taking USC minus the 2. Something about this doesn't sit right, but USC and their quarterback, Keenan Slovic, I'm loving this kid. Why isn't anybody – I know he's only played like one game.
Yeah,
But why aren't we talking about this guy as one of the better quarterbacks in the country? I don't know why. I'm taking USC. I'm laying a little tiny 2 points. I'm going to squeeze the 2 points in there.
Yeah, I like Slovic. I mean, this guy has ice water in his veins. I mean, this is one of the most clutch quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take USC in that game.
How down is the Pac-12? Oregon is just like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They lost to Cal last week.
Yeah.
After they lost to in-state rival Oregon State.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Mario Cristobal. It's just like Pac-12. It's just what it is this year. It's what it is for the last 3 years. Like, when was the last time they had a dominant team? Do we have to go all the way back to the Reggie Bush years and the Leinart years at USC?
No, you can go back to
Utah.
You can go back to the Chip Kelly Oregon Ducks team.
Okay.
You can go. That's it.
Well, I don't know. I'm. Let's wrap it up. College hoops. If I said to you at the beginning of the season, 8 games into the season, University of Kentucky and Duke, 8 games in, are only going to have 3 wins against some directional schools that, frankly, I've never heard of. Morehead State, Coppin State, and some school that I'm pretty convinced doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Their overall record combined is 3-5. What is going on with that?
This whole one and done situation that's going on in college football, college basketball. I mean, these guys don't have time to gel really. I mean, they start the gel and then they're going to the NBA. So
yeah, but this has been one and done has been going on for a while now.
But
we haven't seen them play this bad.
But you have to think now. I mean, a lot of teams are now starting to get some of those players that the Dukes and the Kentuckys and the Carolinas used to get. I mean, these kids are starting to go to other schools now.
Mike Krzyzewski comes out, the head coach at Duke, and says he's concerned about continuing the season. Only 2 weeks in, he cares about the physical health and the mental health of the kids and his staff. How much do we read into this? Do we start having conversations about pulling the plug in college hoops?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't read too much into pulling the plug, but it starts to make you think. Like, I mean, how much preparation did you go into starting this whole season? I mean, we didn't know if there was going to be a basketball season at one point.
Right.
And so I think what it came down to is right now I think it's a lot of lack of preparation because you didn't know what was going on. And I think right now that's what's hurting Duke and some of the other perennial teams.
Mike Krzyzewski is a high-quality guy, and I'm not questioning his integrity, but would he be saying this if he only had 2 wins? If he had more than 2 wins and they were undefeated, would he be saying this? Because I don't know. I'm not quite. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that I mean, if he did have if he was undefeated, he would still have that same energy. I hope. I mean, he's a high character guy, so I would hope he would have that same energy.
Yeah, let's go wrap up the show with UFC news. They are set to release, according to Dana White, 60 of their fighters by January, and this is for financial reasons. I've got to believe, but I'm thinking this is a great thing. I think this is a win for the UFC, trimming the fat. And I got some stats. Some of the names that are mentioned for being let go. 44-year-old Yoel Romero, who's a big fan favorite, always goes out there, fights with his heart on his sleeve, gives you an awesome show, never takes a day off, usually has his tongue hanging out. He's going to probably be gone. Other names that might be moving on from their contracts. Donald Cerrone, Diego Sanchez, women's flyweight Rachel Ostovich. I think this is a good thing, and I'm going to tell you why. Back in the days, when you talk about the Celtics winning 8 championships in a row, the kids today and people under 30 will say, oh, yeah, that was back in the 50s, but they didn't have any teams. They had regional drafting. If you only have 8 teams, the talent pool is like the best of the best. If you have 100 teams, hell, anybody could get in the NBA, and it's watered down. That's my argument with the UFC. How it could be a money move, I don't understand. I'm not in their books. They sold the UFC a year and a half ago for $4 billion.
Right.
So I can't understand the money move, but I'm not even going to get into that. I like the idea of what UFC is doing. When was the last time the UFC made a mistake?
Oh, wow. Can't think of one.
I know. They just are ahead of the curve. They had Fight Island when everybody else was talking about shutting down. They always give us the fights that we want to see. You can't name 5 boxers right now, professional boxers probably, because boxing is so dysfunctional. UFC does it right. I don't have to wait 6 years to see Manny Pacquiao get in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, and then it's like, watered down fighting. They give us the fights that we want to see. I don't think they make mistakes. I think you trim the fat. We're going to see better fights. Here's one for you. This weekend, UFC 256. I'm going to name some of the fights that are on this card, and you let me know if this gets you excited about UFC 256. Chase Hooper is taking on Peter Barrett. Now, I mean, do you even know who any of these guys are? How about Sergey Spivak against Jared Vanderaa? I've never heard of either of these guys. Billy Quantillo? I'm going to say it's Quantillo versus Gavin Tucker.
Right.
This is what we're getting.
Yeah.
I say, you know what? Trim the fat, keep the elite of the elite, and let the brand shine. I think this is addition by subtraction. This is a plus, plus, plus.
It is. That's what makes the UFC the UFC. Is the fact that, I mean, they are known for showcasing the best of the best. But I think this is going to be something good because, like you said, you just named a bunch of fighters. I don't even know who they are.
I don't either.
So
that's my point. Chris, what else is going on in the world of sports?
We have in the world of sports, we have DeMar DeRozan's daughter who has actually come to save the day as she actually helped catch a robber trying to rob their house. Geez, you have a 7-year-old daughter out here doing her Inspector Gadget thing. And my last story is it's a sad story when you have coaches that take the game so serious that they actually take their actions, their frustrations out on the actual players. There was a video that was circulating around on social media where you had a football coach coaching a 9-youth team down in Kissimmee, and he was seen on camera smacking the kid like full strength twice. Now this video got out and made its rounds, and of course you have players like LeBron James that actually came out to defend the kid. I think coaches, you got to calm down. Let the kids be kids. It's just a game.
Amen. I couldn't have said it better. That music can mean only one thing. It's time to thank our support staff. The little bit saddened man on the board, Steeler fan Zach, doing it for us again. Great job this week, especially with our thumbnails. The man on my left, who's been here for over a year, Chris Roberts, El Presidente, Chet 40. For all of us here at the first round, hit the subscription button, become a part of our family. We will be putting out new material every single Thursday night. Check us out, subscribe today, and until next week, take care of yourselves, everybody.